Hi everyone, this is Alok from Tax Mantra, and I hope you are keeping well. In this webinar today, we would discuss about all the expenses which are not allowed as deduction under the input credit, and also we will discuss in detail about what is input credit under GST. I have got Ranadhir from my team. He's my colleague. He's from Bangalore office. So it's close to 3 years since GST has been implemented in India, and there are still a lot of queries which we get in terms of expenses which will be allowed as deduction as the input credit, expenses which will not be allowed. How do you know? How do you adjust? So we thought that to answer all the queries, we will do a webinar on specifically on topic input credit under GST. तो जीएसटी को 3 साल हो गया है इंडिया में, और अभी भी बहुत से क्वेरीज हमें मिलते रहते हैं कि कौन सा एक्सपेंसेस है जिसको अलाउ किया जाएगा, कौन सा एक्सपेंसेस है जिस पे जीएसटी इनपुट क्रेडिट मिलेगा, किस पे नहीं मिलेगा। तो हमने सोचा कि हम एक वीडियो करेंगे, एक वेबिनार करेंगे जिसमें हम डिटेल्ड में ये डिस्कस करेंगे कि कौन से expenses है जिस पे इनपुट क्रेडिट मिलेगा। सो टुडे दिस वेबिनार विल बी अ मिक्स ऑफ हिंदी एंड इंग्लिश। So I hand over to Ranadhir. Ranadhir, you can start your presentation wherein we will go deep into the laws around input credit under GST and also expenses which will be allowed and not allowed for GST input credit. Over to you, Ranadhir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good evening, all. So, a very warm welcome to everyone. So, today the session would be on the GST input tax credit and what are the ineligible credits involved in that. And we'll go in depth, generalized concept manner of GST input tax credit. So, I'll share this. Yeah. So, today we'll be covering the topics of what is the input tax credit and what are the eligibility and conditions for taking ITC credit, ITC, apportionment of common credit and what are the ineligible credits or blocked credits, and what is the manner of distribution of credit which is given by the input service distributor, and what is the manner of recovery of credit distributed in excess by the input service distributor. So let's go into further details. So what is input tax credit? So input tax credit means reducing the taxes what is paid on the inputs which is made from through the purchases. And let's go in depth what is the output tax and input tax. See, for example, there is a transaction happened between a purchaser and sale. So there are two, if you see, there is a output tax involved in case of sales, and there is an input tax which is paid on purchases. So you can see the two transactions where in both the point of view, if you see in the seller point of view, it's an output tax. If you see the purchaser point of view, it's an input tax. So let's explain this further. So at the time of buying a product or availing a service, we pay tax on it. At the time of sale, we charge tax on it. Now we adjust the input tax which is paid at the time of purchase against the output tax which is paid at the time of which is received at the time of sale. So after adjustment of ITC, that is output minus input, so we pay balance liability of tax to the government. See, this mechanism is called utilization of input tax credit.
So,
Yes,
just go back to the earlier slide. So let me just explain this in Hindi also.
yeah,
So जीएसटी में क्या होता है कि जीएसटी में जो आउटपुट होता है, जो हम इनवॉइसेस रेज करते हैं अपने कस्टमर पे, तो उस पे आउटपुट टैक्स होता है। जीएसटी आपका जो एक प्रॉफिट, एक फीस होता है या गुड्स का सामान का दाम होता है, उस पर आप जीएसटी करते हो, जो जीएसटी रेट है 18%, 28%, कुछ भी। और जब आप सामान परचेज करते हो या कुछ एक्सपेंसेस करते हो, तो उस पर आप जीएसटी पेमेंट करते हो, वो इनपुट टैक्स होता है। वो दोनों का जो डिफरेंस है वो आपको पेमेंट करना पड़ता है आफ्टर एडजस्टमेंट। तो आईटीसी एडजस्टमेंट को हम लोग यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ आईटीसी बोलते हैं। आप सपोज कीजिए कि 1 लाख रुपए का आपने सामान बेचा, उसमें 20% जीएसटी था मान लीजिए, तो आप 20,000 रुपए का जीएसटी है और आपने आपका इनपुट जो था वो 10,000 रुपए का जीएसटी था, तो एवरी मंथ वो आपको एडजस्ट करके जो डिफरेंस अमाउंट है एक्स्ट्रा वो आपको पेमेंट करना है, और उस पूरे के पूरे मैकेनिज्म को हम लोग यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ आईटीसी बोलते हैं। यस राणा, यू कैन मूव अहेड।
Yeah. So let's understand this entire scenario with an example. Let's say a manufacturer uh, preparing a goods. Let's say it's a toy. So the sale price for the toy is 400 rupees. Assume the GST rate for the toy is 18%. So he's charging 72 rupees. He's adding that tax to the cost of the product, and the total cost that will be received from the wholesaler is 472 rupees. So that product will shift to wholesaler. So where he will add some profit around 20%, let's say example. So on that 20% of 400, so it's 480 rupees. Again, he's charging GST at 18%, where it would comes to around 86 rupees. The total cost of the product to be collected from retailer is 566. So here the transaction, if you see, the output tax for the wholesaler is 86 rupees, and the input tax which is paid to the manufacturer by the wholesaler is 72 rupees. So the net effect of 14 rupees, which is the additional liability paid by the wholesaler to the government. Same scenario. So when it comes to retailer, so he will add the margin around 20% on 480 rupees. So it comes to 576, and he will add the GST on it. It comes to 104, where it is totally charged to the customer. So here also you can see the liability set off, how it works, like total output from the retailer, that is 104 rupees, and the input from the wholesaler, that is 86 rupees, balance 18 rupees paid by the retailer. So entire burden of tax will be transferred to the consumer. He will be the final consumer of the product. So that is 104 rupees, which is levied by manufacturer and wholesaler and as well as retailer. So
Yeah. So this is very self-explanatory. Ranadhir, you can move ahead, continue.
yeah. So let's go for next topic. What are the eligibility and conditions for taking ITC? So section 16 explain about this topic. So what is the eligibility to avail this input tax credit? So every registered person shall be entitled to take the credit of goods or services which are used or intended to be used for the business. I repeat this last line, which are used or intended to be used for the business. So what is the time limit to claim the input tax credit, which is raised by the supplier? Sometimes there will be a vendors who forget to take the credit which is raised by the supplier. So in that case, what is the time limit that we should be claimed for that invoice? So it should be, I'll explain this two conditions with an example. Let's say there is a part seller who raised an invoice on October 2019. So he should have claimed that input in the month of October, but he forget that. But what is the time limit to claim that? So furnishing of annual return for the financial year 2019-20. That is 31st December 2020 is the deadline for claiming the return, or due date of filing the monthly return for the next financial year, that is 2020-21 September month. So October 20th 2020 is the last date for, sorry, October 2020 is the last date for the claiming of input tax return, sorry, input tax credit earlier of the following. So for that is in December, so this is in September, so we have to claim in the month of September month return.
Yeah. So what Ranadhir is saying, Ranadhir क्या बोल रहा है कि जो एलिजिबिलिटी होती है, कंडीशन होता है इनपुट क्रेडिट क्लेम करने का, वो है कि आप जो एक्सपेंस इनकर कर रहे हो गुड्स या सर्विसेज पे, वो एक्सपेंस जो है वो बिजनेस के लिए यूज होने के लिए ही होना चाहिए। आप पर्सनल एक्सपेंसेस या अदर एक्सपेंसेस विच आर नॉट फॉर बिजनेस, उसके लिए आप नहीं कर सकते। दूसरी चीज ये है कि टाइमलाइन क्या है। टाइमलाइन चाहे तो आप रिटर्न फाइलिंग के पहले उसको यूज कर लो, या फिर फाइनेंशियल ईयर खत्म होने के बाद के सितंबर मंथ तक आप यूज कर लो। तो अगर फाइनेंशियल ईयर 1920 है तो सितंबर 2020 तक आपको आपको इनपुट क्लेम कर लेना है। तो ये दो कंडीशन है, अर्लियर ऑफ बोथ। तो दो चीजें इसमें, एक तो जो भी आप एक्सपेंस कर रहे हो, चाहे वो गुड्स है सर्विस है, वो एक्सपेंस पे जो भी आप इनपुट आईजीएसटी या सीजीएसटी या एसजीएसटी पेमेंट कर रहे हो, वो बिजनेस के लिए होना चाहिए, और उसका जो क्लेम है वो एनुअल रिटर्न फाइलिंग के पहले या सितंबर मंथ के तक हो जाना चाहिए। या राधे?
Yeah. So what are the conditions that should be met by the recipient to take this input tax credit? So he should be a registered taxable person, and one can claim the input tax credit only if the goods and services received and used for the business purposes. Input tax credit can be claimed on even on zero rated or exports which are under taxable. So for registered taxable person, if the constitution changes due to merger or sale or transfer of business, then the ITC which is unused and which is lying in the electronic ledger of uh, the company which is going to be merged, so that can be transferred to the merged company or sold or transferred business. So one fifth condition is one can credit the input tax credit in his electronic ledger by filing the monthly returns in the form of GSTR 3B as of now, the provisional manner which is prescribed by the GST law. And the supporting documents that we should keep it in hand and safe as a proof that we are claiming the input tax credit should be debit note or tax invoice or supplementary invoice, which are basic needs that we need to keep it ourselves with the to claim the input tax credit. And we should follow all the compliances by filing the GST returns, which is mentioned by the GST Act. And also we should make sure that supplier also more compliant in filing the GST returns, because he needs to upload the sales invoice, what is happened between you and seller, and it will be act as a and also I am saying that the burden of proving of input tax credit should be lying in the hands of purchaser. So every purchaser should be take more cautious that supplier should be filed all these returns and given the credit according to the invoice and your GST number.
You can move ahead. You can move ahead.
Yeah. So next topic is apportionment of common credit and what are the block credits. So before we are going to block credits, we'll see what is apportionment of credit. See, there are some businesses where multiple services or trading of multiple goods has been involved, but there is no compulsion that all the services, all the goods which are trading by the business or providing by the business should be a taxable services or taxable goods. There may be certain businesses who is doing exports or who is doing exempted services and as well as taxable services. So in that case, how this input tax credit which is used for the business, how to bifurcate this input tax credit between the exempted supplies and what taxable supplies. So here, before we are going to, I'm going to explain this table. So you have to get to know what are the input taxes which is commonly used for the exempted supplies and as well as taxable supplies. So when you came to know, when you segregated or when you prepare the working for the input which and all used for both the purposes, so you have to bifurcate the input tax credit, which is bifurcate the input tax credit based on the turnover happened between taxable sales and as well as non-taxable sales or exempted sales. So here there is one more scenario comes into picture where input tax credit commonly used for the business purpose and non-business purpose, that is personal purpose. So in that case, there is no bifurcation as per turnover. So we have to take the scenarios according to the nature of expense. So for example, if the rent is paid for both personal and as well as business, so we have to calculate according to the space acquired. And in case of vehicle is used for the personal as well as business, so we have to see the usage of the vehicle, and based according to that, we have to bifurcate the input tax credit. So here, if you see the table, I can show you there are two scenarios. One is used for the business purpose, one is used for the taxable purpose. So under taxable purpose, you can see taxable supplies and exempted supplies. Under business purpose, you can see business purpose and non-business purpose. This can be attributed to the respective accounts based on the turnover or based on the usage.
Okay, we can move ahead.
Yeah. So what are the block credits, or we can say ineligible credits, which are notified by the GST department? First is motor vehicle. So motor vehicle which is purchased, or we cannot take the GST input tax credit which is purchased by the company unless except when they are used for the transportation of goods, or making further supply of vehicle or conveyance, or transportation of passengers, or it is used for specifically training of drivers or flying or navigation of such vehicles or conveyance. So basically it is saying the business what they are doing will be specifically related to the transportation of goods or transportation of passengers, or it may be a reselling in nature. So next ineligible credit will be supply of goods, such as supply of services such as membership fees, which is membership fees, healthcare and fitness centers, travel benefits.
You want me to go back to the earlier slide and explain in Hindi?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah. सो द फर्स्ट इनपुट क्रेडिट जो है जिसपे इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता है वो है आप जब गाड़ी खरीदते हो उस पर आप जो जीएसटी पेमेंट करते हो उस पर आपको इनपुट क्रेडिट नहीं मिलता है। अगर आप मोटर व्हीकल बिजनेस में हो, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के बिजनेस में हो, तभी आपको इनपुट मिलेगा, अदरवाइज आपको इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा। तो ये बहुत क्लियर कट चीज होनी चाहिए, इस पे बहुत सी क्वेरीज आती रहती है हमारे पास। यार वी कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड।
So next service which are blocked is membership services, healthcare, fitness service centers, and travel benefits. These three services ITC never allowed at any scenarios. And in case of life insurance and health insurance or rent a cab services, allowed only if the service are obligatory in nature or employer to provide for employer to provide an employee. So obligatory in the sense there may be a certain services where government will make it obligation for the companies to provide certain services in mandatory in nature. So in that cases, the input tax credit which you are getting by the company can be claimed as an input tax credit.
हाँ, तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और ये बहुत लोग इस पे मिस्टेक करते हैं। शुरू में वो इनपुट ले लेते हैं, बाद में जब एनुअल फाइलिंग होती है, एडजस्टमेंट होता है, तो फिर उनको रिवर्सल करना पड़ता है इंटरेस्ट के साथ। कोई भी मेंबरशिप फीस हो, कोई आप ऑर्गेनाइजेशन हो, ग्रुप हो, कोई एसोसिएशन हो, उसकी मेंबरशिप फीस पे अगर आप कोई जीएसटी पेमेंट कर रहे हो वो इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा। हेल्थ और फिटनेस सेंटर पे इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा। कोई ट्रेवल बेनिफिट्स जो आप एम्प्लॉइज को दे रहे हो उस पर इनपुट नहीं मिलेगा। और लाइफ हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस और रेंट अ कैब में अगर वो ऑब्लिगेटरी है बाय गवर्नमेंट, अगर वो मैंडेटरी है बाय गवर्नमेंट, गवर्नमेंट आपको बोलती है कि वो सर्विस आप प्रोवाइड करो अपने एम्प्लॉइज को, तभी उस पर इनपुट मिलेगा। देयर कैन बी एग्जांपल वेयर इन एट टाइम्स कंसिडरिंग बिजनेस के नेचर को कंसिडर करते हुए बहुत बार बीपीओ सर्विस में या कुछ अलग सर्विसेज में रेंट अ कैब मैंडेटरी होता है या फैक्ट्रीज में बहुत बार मैंडेटरी होता है, तो उस सिनेरियो में आपको इनपुट मिल सकता है। Yeah, Rajesh.
So next, food and beverages, outdoor catering services, beauty treatment, healthcare services, cosmetic and plastic surgery, these and all will come under same category. So allowed only if it is used for the same category, if the company is involved same category of business or goods or services which are taxable in composite, either it's mixed or in composite nature. So then only these the input tax credit which is taken on this will be allowed.
The next is block credits के बारे में डिस्कस कर लेते हैं। फूड एंड बेवरेजेस, आउटडोर कैटरिंग, ब्यूटी ट्रीटमेंट, हेल्थ सर्विसेज, कॉस्मेटिक एंड प्लास्टिक सर्जरी। इस पे आपको तभी मिलेगा जब आप उस कैटेगरी में आप सर्विस देते हो। जैसे फूड एंड बेवरेज की आप सर्विस भी देते हो तो फूड एंड बेवरेज के एक्सपेंस पे आपको इनपुट मिलेगा। आउटडोर कैटरिंग की अगर आप सर्विस भी देते हो तब आपको मिलेगा। तो ये कुछ चीजें इस पे आपको ध्यान रखना होगा। या राधे।
So next is works contract and construction of an immovable property on own account. So works contract. So there are certain contracts which are given by the construction companies to outsiders. So in that case, so ITC shall not be available for any works contract services. ITC for construction of an immovable property cannot be availed except when the input service is used for the further works contract services. See, for example, XYZ contractors are constructing an immovable property, they cannot claim the ITC on the purchase of, on the construction of that immovable property. But unless if XYZ has given this contract to third party to for the construction of a property, so in that case, the invoices which and all raised by the ABC contractors to XYZ, then ITC can be claimed on that, which is charged by the ABC contractors. So fourth thing, construction of an immovable property on own account. So no ITC input tax credit is available for goods or services for construction of a movable property on his own account, even if such goods or services used for the course of business, unless it's a plant and machinery. But this rule does not apply to plant and machinery. I have mentioned a note here. So ITC available only on the inputs to manufacture plant and machinery, which is for the own use. But ITC cannot be availed on the immovable property unless otherwise it's a plant and machinery which is used for the business purpose.
Okay, Randir, we can move ahead.
So under composition scheme, we are all aware of that under section 9. So we cannot take the input tax credit who and all registered under composition scheme. So they have to pay the taxes on the total turnover, and no ITC on the non-residents. So ITC cannot be availed on goods and services received by the non-resident taxable person. It's available only if the goods are imported by him. So in this case, reverse charge is applicable. So whatever reverse charge we are paying by the company, that can be claimed as the input tax credit whenever the reverse charge amount has been paid to the government. So no ITC for personal use. As I said, the goods and services which are all used for the business purpose, only we can claim the ITC, which are all used for the personal purpose, we cannot claim the ITC. And the goods which are all distributed as a samples and goods destroyed by fire or something like that. So no ITC is available for goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off, or given written off as a gift or samples. So in this scenario, the ITC which is received by the company cannot be claimed. It has to be reversed.
Yeah, Randir. Okay.
Yeah. So next, we'll go for next topic. What is the manner of distribution of credit by the ISD? So here, who is the ISD, Input Service Distributor? So ISD is a centralized office which takes the input services for the organization as a whole and then distribute the ITC among its branches. So if there is an MNC company, let's say example X Limited has multiple branches all over India, but its centralized office is located in Bangalore. So the entire service which is taken for all the branches has been invoiced price to centralized office. So here the centralized office Bangalore should be registered as a ISD. So when he registered as an input service distributor, the invoice which and all is raised for the centralized office can be distributed to among its all the branches according to the turnover that branch is doing. So what are the conditions for distributing ITC? So if ITC is attributable to single recipient, say for example, if the invoice is raised to centralized company, but that services happen to only Delhi branch, so the entire input tax which is raised to the centralized office should be allocated to only that recipient called Delhi branch. If there are more than one recipient, then he has to segregate the input tax according to pro rata basis as per turnover. Then he has to distribute all the input credit which and all related to the service. And make a note that a centralized office can take multiple ISD registration based on the branches that they have. Like they can register ISD as a HR, under admin department they can register under ISD, under maintenance department they can register ISD. So there is no restriction to take the registration under input service distributor. So
yeah.
Let's see the manner of distribution in case of intrastate and as well as interstate.
Okay.
So the head office has been received an invoice. It may include IGST or it may include CGST or SCST. So in that case, how this interstate transfer has been happened? So if the head office has been received the invoice in the form of CGST and SGST or IGST, either of three components, he should directly transfer the input tax credit to outside state in the form of IGST only. When it is an intrastate transfer, so the input whatever he received in the form of CGST, IGST and SGST should transfer to branch office in the form of local taxes, that is CGST and SGST. If it is a IGST, then we have to divide it into two parts, CGST and SGST, and we have to transfer it. So manner of recovery of credit in case of credit has been distributed in the excess. So when input service distributor distributes the credit and the contravention with the provisions contained in the section 20, as I said earlier, resulting to excess distribution of to one or more recipients of credit, those credits which and all given by the centralized center should be reversed or shall be recovered in the form of and shall be recovered in the, along with the interest. And the provisions which section 73 and 74, which is related to the notices received from the GST department whenever the scrutiny or happens like that. So applies, and at the time of scrutiny, they will apply for the determination, and according to that, amount will be recovered along with interest. So by this, I completed all the topics under the input tax credit, but there are certain other relevant points. So one should know what is CGST, what is SGST, and what is IGST. So GST has two types, two categories. One is intrastate, one is interstate. So under intrastate, that is within state, there are two types of taxes we should charge. One is CGST, one is SGST. When it's the interstate sale, when the sale is happened outside state, it should be on IGST. So the set of rules has been changed with effective from 1st February 2019. So credit of IGST can be utilized, first preference to be given to IGST, then whatever the credit available under IGST should be utilized further for CGST, then SGST and UTGST. And if the credit is available under CGST, then it should be utilized first payment of IGST, then respective tax CGST. And if the credit is available under SGST, then it has to be utilized for IGST, then it should be utilized for SGST. Please note that we cannot utilize the CGST, SGST mutual. And a thumb rule here we can recognize. So whatever credit we have, first it has to set off with IGST. So there is one more point. When for an advance payment which is made by the purchaser, but the supplier required to pay tax on such advance receipt. But in case of recipient, he cannot claim the ITC whenever he paid as an advance. He can claim the ITC only when the supplier has raised the invoice. And there is one more, there are few more scenarios. Let's say if the goods is received in the form of installments or lots. So let's say, for example, if the invoice is raised in March 2020, but goods are received in the form of lots monthly once, like 6 times. So he has to take the credit until the last lot or last installment has been received. So he has to proportionate according to that. He has to claim the credit accordingly. So by this, I conclude this topic. So input tax credit, a generalized concept, as I generalized everything and I kept, but there are specific scenarios under each manufacturing sector, or there depends upon the nature of company, depends upon nature of business. There are certain specific provisions under ITC also that can be discussed in the next upcoming session.
Thanks, Radhir. Excellent. Thanks for taking out time and doing this presentation. It was very, very insightful and informative. इनपुट क्रेडिट पे बहुत सी क्वेरीज आती थी हमें, तो हमने सोचा था कि एक वेबिनार करें इस पे डिटेल्ड. बट इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेरीज यू कैन स्टिल आस्क अस एंड वी विल बी मोर देन हैप्पी टू हेल्प यू. एंड स्टे सेफ, take care of your family, take care of your community at this point of time, and we will come up with more webinars on different topics. If you want us to do any topic wherein you feel that there is a topic which we should do a webinar, we would love to do that. These are our delivery centers. We operate out of 8 delivery centers at this point of time. Even though we are working from home and 100% of our team is working from home, but we will come back to you soon with more webinars. Until that time, take care of yourself and stay healthy and stay fit. Thanks, Radhir, again, and thanks everyone for joining in. Thanks.
Thank you.